welcome in Abu Dhabi for this in this incredible site, the Yas circuit of Formula One. It's such a pleasure to be with you, the members of the NEXUS community, whether you are members or suppliers, we are all NEXUS. A year ago, we were all together in Montreux, Switzerland, in front of this beautiful lake. A year ago, I remember Gaël closing this plenary session, announcing major changes for the next business forum. And I can tell you, he kept his promises. The location for sure has changed, but not only. For the 3 coming years, we will join here in the heart of this Middle East region, a fast-growing market involved in the automotive industry with the NEXUS Business Forum, but also, of course, with its famous Formula One Grand Prix. But it is also involved in culture, with the Louvre Museum, which is amazing, and I strongly recommend you, and involved as well in soccer with Manchester City for our UK fans. We moved from Montreux to Abu Dhabi because NEXUS is really global. And NEXUS is the only one player in the world positioned in fast-growing markets. The location is great, of course, but for the first time ever, the NEXUS community will stay in the same hotel across the street to make informal meetings and connection easier. Later today, we will make the award ceremony during an aperitif in an incredible place. You'll see it's a surprise, but don't miss it. Because where we are named NEXUS, a progressive automotive community, which better place to hold the annual business forum than in a Formula One circuit? Here is for the location. But the location is not the only change. This year, there are other major changes, as I told you. Among those changes, we decided to organize a live streaming of this plenary session because we wanted all the community of NEXUS who is not here today to be able to participate and to attend this plenary session. We are very proud to tell you that right now, across those 2 cameras, we are connected with the entire world. So I would like to say hello to our US and Canadian members. Bienvenida Latin America and Spain. Bonjour Paris. Willkommen Germany. Bienvenuto Italy. Dobar den Bulgaria. Good afternoon Kenya, India. Good evening Asia. Good night China, and good morning Australia. NEXUS community has members all over the 5 continents and in more than 120 countries. Thanks to this live streaming, all the members of our community can attend the plenary session, from the top management to the mechanics. Changes in locations, changes in live streamings, but changes are not over. Last year, lots of you after Montreux asked for 2 things. The first one, you asked for an efficient air conditioning system. I hope it works. But you asked also for an interaction with the speakers. As you know, we always try to fulfill your needs, but we decided to go beyond your expectation with a designated, dedicated app, ComExMe. When you open this app, you'll be able to answer the quiz to come, but also to ask questions during the second part of the plenary, during the debate session, get planning informations, share business cards, messages in a closed and secure environment developed and dedicated to NEXUS. Of course, we may not have time to answer during this plenary all the questions you may raise, but for sure, if your question is not answered during this plenary, it will be answered right after. As you see, we did a lot to improve this business forum. But now let's talk about what is right now yet to come. This plenary session will be composed of two parts. During the first part, the NEXUS management team will come on stage to share with you their views and perspectives. In the second part, after the coffee break, we'll host two debates, one debate on digitalization and another debate on the interest of professional education. Tomorrow, on Thursday, the speed meetings will change as well. We reorganized it so that the suppliers can have 2 tables each to be able to meet twice as much NEXUS members as last year. But before, I would like to leave the floor to one of the founders at the very beginning of NEXUS to officially open this Business Forum 2018. Please welcome Mr. George Aboukader, founder of NEXUS, chairman of the NASCO Group.
Dear NEXUS family, I think we are a family here. It gives me great pleasure really to welcome you here in Abu Dhabi, the heart of this fast-growing area of the Middle East. We are very proud to see NEXUS right now, knowing where it was at its early stage 4 years ago. This is an amazing, great success. My story goes back to Automechanica 2010 when I was passing in the stand of ATR, and I was interested to apply there. And it took me 2 years to talk with them, with emails going and coming all the way. It did not work. We were very lucky that it did not work. After more, I remember when Gail came to us 2013 to present his vision and detailed a totally new model he had in mind. The NEXUS model, I carefully listened to him, and we jumped at the idea. We knew that there are risks involved, but with several of our distinguished colleagues, we managed to get it started. We did trust Gail at that time and welcomed the risk involved and followed him. At this period of time, when we founded NEXUS, no one had in mind that the success could come from the fast-growing markets, the emerging markets on a global scale. During that period of time, all experts were pretty sure that the future relies mainly on the US and the Western European markets only. But the world and the automotive aftermarket are evolving, as you know, and fast. Gail understood that the future of the industry has changed drastically. He understood that before all the others, and that is why we are now far more advanced from our competitors. The NEXUS team and the board of directors were right. They anticipated the trends beforehand. They have always been at the cutting edge of the market. They didn't follow the market, actually. They redesigned, I would say, the market. And I can tell you that the NEXUS today is far advanced already of the best forecast made in 2013. For this tremendous success, I would like to thank our chairman, Mr. Akram Shahrour, the board of directors, and the professional NEXUS team, and of course, its head, Gail. In a few minutes, Gail will come on stage to share his vision. And of course, it will be with my respect and trust of all of us that I am looking forward to hear his address. The NEXUS team deserves our trust and support. You can count on us all. Please welcome Gail for us. Thank you.
Thank you, George. We get into the first part with the NEXUS management. And before Gail will come on stage to share with us his strategic vision for the 3 coming years, I would like just you to watch this.
What a nice movie. Did you like it? Yeah? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Abu Dhabi. You know, we are extremely proud to have such an audience today in front of us. So a very warm welcome to all of you, and a very warm welcome as well to the ones in North America, in Singapore, and in multiple other countries that are following for the first time this plenary remotely. Now, as it was already said, there is no coincidence. The migration to this part of the world, to Abu Dhabi, reflects the focus that we have had now since day one. We are the absolute leader in the Middle East. We have almost no competition, you know, and Abu Dhabi is nothing more than at the center of the NEXUS community, this global community. So this choice was really very good. Spend the 15 coming minutes, a very simple update with you. Where is the NEXUS community today? And then we'll move on to the coming and the short and the mid-term, and I will take some time at the end to reflect some ideas, some dreams that we still have in NEXUS today. Now, let me start with the basics. What is NEXUS? NEXUS is nothing more than a growth accelerator. And as George just said, 38% of our sales today are being made in fast-growing markets. 38%. So with the daily work that our business development team is doing on the field, from our various offices, from São Paulo, from Dubai, from Shanghai, with all of you, with the regional teams of you, our beloved partners. With this work, we achieved this year 6.5% growth. You could say, we think it's decent, but of course, you will see that our appetite goes much further than that. But one thing is certain, the exposure and the focus we've had on fast-growing markets now for the past 4 years is now definitely paying off. Now, I told you we are a growth accelerator, but we are fundamentally a growth accelerator for progressive companies in the automotive aftermarket. Progressive companies are not only our progressive members, the progressive companies are also made by our partners that share a vision that we share, and that the aftermarket is changing and that we need to adapt. We need to adapt. Now, those progressive energies that we have tried to assemble over the past 4 years have enabled us to develop a number of projects. I'd like to spend some time on those projects, and I will start with what will probably be, and there is a debate on this subject in the second part of the plenary, what is probably going to be the most relevant project that we have launched over the past 2-3 years, which is the foundation of NEXUS Academy. So, what was the ambition of NEXUS Academy when we launched this project? First, to give visibility to leaders. All of you are leaders that have assembled lots of knowledge over the past years, but certainly with all the change, you need visibility. And manufacturers in the room can help us in providing this visibility. Of course, NEXUS Academy is also an asset for the middle management, but more importantly, you will see a rising focus, more and more, on what is definitely the center of the aftermarket, where they have to promote your products on a daily basis, and I mean the workshop. And that's where you will see more and more initiatives conducted by NEXUS Academy, to drive more and more focus to upgrade the workshop and the mechanics that are involved on a daily basis in the workshop. Now, there is a second initiative that we have taken a few years ago, and of course, it was not an easy decision. We created two brands. One was called Drive Plus, the other one was called Fixim. And lately, we opened a sourcing office in Shanghai. Now, why did we open a sourcing office in Shanghai when actually we have largely enough to do with all of you in the room? Now, of course, we need more efficiency with less costs on an operating point of view. But you know, at the end of the day, this is what we have found in certain cases. And, you know, we consider this as a danger. So we thought, as a management, having seen what we have seen, that it was time to provide our members with a quality filter. And that's the only reason why we have created the NEXUS sourcing office. Let me now address some more recent projects that we have conducted. I don't know if you remember, but last year in Montreux, I told you the digitalization and the consolidation are mega trends around the world that we have to address. So either we are passive, we watch the train, or we get engaged. That time I told you on the digitalization, one thing is clear, we will get engaged. Consolidation was not as clear at that time. Digitalization, we will get engaged. Now, 12 months later, you will see this afternoon that the result of this engagement translates to the creation of a marketplace that you will discover in the coming hours. And this is the result of trying to find a leader, which is Christophe Riberol, who was coming from the digital industry, trying to address with him our challenges. And we have in Europe, and the same in some other continents, a major challenge is that there is a tremendous B2B activity between some of our members, but also between our members and some of our competitors. This amounts to 200 million euro in Europe. So during this discussion with Christophe, when he was on board, I told him, you know, 200 million euro, it's a big amount. There is a tremendous B2B business. The digital business is migrating from B2C to B2B. Can you please take a few months, digest that, come back to us, and you for sure will have some ideas. So based on that, Christophe came with the idea to launch a marketplace called marketparts.com. Marketparts.com is nothing else than the first marketplace, B2B marketplace in the industry. And this initiative is ambitioning, it is being launched today in Abu Dhabi, is ambitioning to become a leader within this B2B revolution. And we will have a debate this afternoon to address that and to explain much more in detail the reasons of this initiative and where we are planning to go with this initiative. Now, in Montreux, I told you as well, and the Europeans, the Americans, the Brazilians now have seen the financial guys stepping into a family business called the aftermarket, making acquisitions one after the other. And some of you have been a bit surprised by the cadence. Some had anticipated it. And I told you, we have not decided yet, but there might be a big chance that we might get involved in what we call the consolidation. Now, at that time, I was looking at the consolidation this way. So guess who is the yellow fish and guess who is the blue fish? At least, where are we going to? Where are we heading for? In this acceleration that was impacting the US already for probably 15 years, impacting Europe since 2008, what are we going to do and how are we going to handle this mega trend? So after Montreux, after the business forum last year, we did sit down with the team, did digest, and at the end, the appetite and our culture brought us to stand up and to say, we are going to get involved. We are going to the board and we are going to explain that there is potentially a model that can work, that is potentially different, and in which we are going to be involved, with 3 conditions. First, we start with Europe, but we don't restrict ourselves to Europe. Second, we solve the challenges of our members, all those challenges that they have. Why should a member from Nexus in Europe buy over 10 million euro to an ATR member? Why? You know, we are a big family. We should be capable to solve our problems within this family. So we have been questioning this. And at the end, what I can tell you 12 months ago is that we have built a team, we have engaged, and more than that, the entire project is now financed, and we have made in December our first offer. And this basically was done in 9 months' time, which shows you that in life you better stand up, be optimistic, and see the light at the end of the tunnel, because I will get to it a bit later, things are possible even if you are not a big American private equity. Let me now move to 2018, and I'd like to share with you some imminent priorities that we would like you to be aware of. First, we have been, and that's true in Nexus, traveling and traveling and traveling, and George was mentioning it, and crisscrossing the world, meeting you, etc., building this asset which is the Nexus community. But I have to tell you that this work is almost behind us. We have as well spent lots of time in trying to establish global partnerships with you, the suppliers. You know, this task is almost behind us. So the driver of the future for us will be, in fact, the Nexus community itself, its opportunities, its business practices, and our role as manager will be to leverage this fantastic tool that we have built over the past 4 years, and this tool, this community, that's an absolute priority for 2018. Now, the second priority for 2018 is to keep this culture that we have tried to develop since the beginning. When we moved into fast-growing markets, George did believe, but how many people were not believing in it? How many people were saying, you're going to lose your time. Don't go there. There's nothing to do there. You know, this is a part of the world that is not going to emerge. And those similar challenges are ahead of us. What we wish in Nexus is to keep one step ahead. We have a telematic challenge. We have a challenge with car manufacturers. Nobody talks about it, but there is an immense challenge with car manufacturers. So we will address the car manufacturers. And I don't need to hide myself. I am meeting car manufacturers. We have to be one step ahead, and we will remain one step ahead. And we wish that in 2018, a number of challenges that are on the table today will be tackled by us with this mindset. Now, there is a third element that is essential for all of you, and especially our beloved manufacturers. 6.5% has to move to 10+. We have plenty of manufacturers with whom, in 2017, and this will be subject to discussions in the coming 2 days, have made more than 10% growth. This battle to do double-digit growth is our battle, but it's your battle, it's our battle. It's a common battle. It's difficult to reach 15, 25% growth if some of you are never willing to take a risk, are never willing to open an account, are never willing to follow an advice. It's not easy. But we will win this battle together, because we have at least 20 to 25 suppliers that have demonstrated that double-digit growth in this industry is feasible. And this is, I would say, our third priority for 2018. Now, when I went to see George and plenty of others, I had a dream. I thought it was possible to do things differently, to build an organization that will be mobile, that would adapt, that would be global, and that would, with some vision, be one step ahead. Now, believe me, the team that we have constituted is a fantastic team that has plenty of dreams. And I'd like to share with you 3 dreams that we have and that will drive the mid-term prospects in NEXUS. The first one is that, when we will be retired, if I can say so, we'll be happy that anywhere in the world, an aftermarket activist says about those guys in Geneva, this NEXUS board, the strategy committee of NEXUS, those guys have supported us. We have been growing, we have been changing, adapting, thanks to the guys that have supported us. That is our dream, and that's why we do repeat every day that wherever you run your aftermarket business in the world, NEXUS is there to support you. That's our first dream. The second dream, that's me going to the office in 15 years. We want to be on the forefront of the digitalization and the technological transformation. Digitalization, with what you will see this afternoon, the marketplace, being the first operator to launch a B2B marketplace, is a signal, but it's the beginning. We want to be on the forefront of the digitalization, on the forefront of the technological transformation. And look at that, guess what? All those fishes are NEXUS, and we think that the consolidation that you are subject to, you the manufacturers that sometimes don't know anymore how you have to handle those big elephants that are appearing in our aftermarket, in the US, in Europe. Now, we are working, and as I told you, we made a first offer in December. We are working very intensively to build a model that is going to solve not the problem of a man or of a private equity, that is going to solve the problem or the challenge that a community is facing. It is a community project, and that's why you see that all those fishes are moving behind the big fish, with a community spirit. Now, the last item, that is our dream, and we will never repeat it enough. Never. George has insisted, Emmanuel has insisted, the entire team will insist. Our blood, since the beginning, is to support fast-growing markets. And our dream is that in 10, 20 years, we say, those guys, they have done it. They have helped continents to move on and to catch up. I will take one example. We do support the saying, the concept of Africa Rising, which was established 7 years ago by an American journalist. We do support. We have our dreams. But we know the reality. And we know that this dream, having the fast-growing markets, catching up, helping us to grow with Africa among all, will only work if, at the end of the day, we are all aware in this room that there won't be a success in fast-growing markets without winning the educational challenge. And this is why I told you at the beginning, the NEXUS Academy initiative is absolutely fundamental to make one of our 3 dreams a reality. Now, ladies and gentlemen, in a few words, this is NEXUS. Strong today, stronger tomorrow, but more importantly, it's a collective approach, and this new logo that you see here is nothing else than the result of a collective success. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gail. As you just said, being global implies to have members that are all over the world, but also suppliers that are global. And Philippe, that will join me in a few seconds, doesn't stop repeating, meeting after meeting, that we need global contracts to be a global network. So how can those global contracts with global suppliers can add value to the NEXUS community? The answer will be given right now by Philippe Guyot.
Good afternoon, everybody. For those knowing me, you can easily imagine that it's a pleasure to welcome you on a Formula One racetrack. I wish I could work daily on a racetrack. Let's enjoy it for 3 days or for this week. Welcome, really warm welcome here in Abu Dhabi. And before talking, let's say business, let's play together. Let's play together because I hope you've been following the signs which were written on the screens asking you to implement the app on your mobile phone. Did you do it? Did you do it? I hope you did. Because now we're going to play together. I will go for a quick question. We're going to talk global. But do you know how many continents there are in the world? Stupid question. Go ahead. No, ladies, I'm not for sale. You're not supposed to go for upper figures. Please stick to the ones. Don't cheat. Don't ask your neighbor. I know how you're doing. Go to Interact in your app. Go to Interact. Interaction, Interagir for the French ones. Should appear under Interact. Okay. Do we go for results? Interesting. Interesting. Within Nexus Academy, I think... somebody's changing his mind. The doubt is floating. Nexus Academy will provide with geographical courses, I guess. But the question is a little bit tricky. And the answer is correctly 6 continents. There are discussions to go for a 7th one, which is New Zealand, but it's not yet settled, so let's stick to the existing thing. 6 continents. And then let's go for another question. How many continents are covered by Nexus? The ones saying 7, no. No. It's still in interaction in your mobile phone. The Philips team is cheating. Okay, we go for the results. It's not that complicated. There's a challenge. There's a challenge. In fact, we used to repeat that Nexus is covering all segments of the aftermarket. But the truth is, we are missing parts for white bears. So Nexus is not covering one of the 6 continents, which is Antarctica. So the right answer is 5 continents. But we keep room for improvement. I wanted to have this quick game with you because, believe it or not, it's already a huge effort needed to be covering 5 of the 6 continents. And today, Nexus is absolutely global. That was part of the initial dreams we had in the team when thinking about George, with Akram, with the Nexus founders. We are global, really. And this is explaining why we today enjoy already out of the 63. We are drastically pragmatic and realistic. 55 global contracts, because the business is global. On top of this, over the years, we have put in place an homogeneous management team of the group. What I mean is that there's nobody, not a single member or shareholder, how important they are, controlling Nexus. Nexus is a group, a community managed by a management team, according and taking into consideration all the expectations and the needs of the members wherever they are in the world. Nobody is controlling the group. We take care of being fair control of Nexus community. It's important for you, not only the members, but the suppliers. You can count on us to have this fair and homogeneous management, taking into consideration the needs of the whole Nexus community worldwide. Then, to put this homogeneous management in place, NEXUS decided to make a huge investment. When I mean huge investment, it's starting by team, by people, by local human interface. This interface has names, has first names. They are named Bob, George, Sam, Benjamin, Hubert. These are guys based locally in the regions of the world in order to be the business interface between NEXUS members and NEXUS suppliers. These people know the local business. They know how to interact. They are here to helping opening the door of a NEXUS member when you, the supplier, need it, gathering and collecting business opportunities to be transferred to the headquarters of the suppliers, and that's making the difference. It's really a unique structure that you have to enjoy, us, our suppliers, and us, our members. Definitely. Then, what is important is that the business is global. So for you suppliers, it means that you have to get organized and you must be able to enjoy all the business opportunities enjoyed by the NEXUS community. In other words, it means act local, trade global. We are here to identify all the business opportunities transferred, reported by the NEXUS community. We are bringing them to you, and we have to work together to make them happen, to turn them into concrete turnover. Just like Gael was mentioning, the double-digit growth is reachable. Let's work together. But act local, trade global. That's most than important. And then, coming from supplier side, most of you know where I'm coming from. I used to be a supplier. I have full respect for the regional entities, divisions, whatever it's named, enjoyed or in place by the suppliers. Full respect. The problem is that the customers are no more local. The customer today may have headquarters in the US based in Europe or vice versa. And at the end, you, supplier, have one speaker, one person to negotiate with. That's reality. We like it, we don't like it, nobody cares. That's reality. So let's work together, let's align your organizations, let's say in front of the needs of your customers. And this is bringing opportunities in terms of business. Because that will be the opportunity for you, the suppliers, to enjoy the support of the members and will allow us to identify together with you local business opportunities. You are global, but you have to trade local. Using our business developers community team, we are going to open doors locally. But let's get organized according to the needs of the market. That's more than important. And I would say last but not least, using our community, the business developers team, our facilities. Let's go for business reviews on a regular basis. Let's share information. I mean, this morning we had 2 sourcing committees, one for the passenger car business, one for the truck business. One word came back many times, whatever was the topic. The word was communication. We had people around the table coming from all the parts of the world. Specific markets, specific needs, specific expectations. But thanks to communication, we are joining forces to grow the business, to solve business opportunities and to make them happen. That's a huge commitment taken by NEXUS. It's not no more a dream. It's reality for 4 years now. Let's continue. I will go with Gael in retirement, and it will be happen, hopefully. I will go before him, no problem. But let's join forces, gentlemen. We are a community. You know that we have full respect for both sides, let's say, of the fence. You, our business partners, being suppliers. You, our business partners, being members. Let's join forces, let's communicate, and let's make it happen. Thank you very much, and have a very, very fruitful and efficient business forum in Abu Dhabi. See you later.
Thank you, Philippe. I'm afraid that they will come one after one to announce their retirement. Huh? Who's going to be the last one? Thierry, maybe? More seriously, when we say fast-growing markets, everyone may think China. So we decided right now to give you an address on the Chinese stakes. To better understand this market, a lot has been said on this market, but there are figures that are already available. And to understand, analyze, and give you the stakes of those figures, I would like to have on stage with us today someone in the NEXUS team who is a very big expert on the Chinese market and the Chinese stakes. Please welcome Bas Donders.
Thank you, Emmanuel. It's too much honor. I'm not an expert. I can't be an expert after, let's say, 3 years being in China. It takes a bit more time to be a real expert. But I can share with you some of my experiences. Let me see. Okay. What is important? China is progressing, China is moving. We all know, we all talk about. Me coming from a mature market with my mature experience of those markets, it's nice to look at how this market is changing. You see similarities on the processes we have gone through in our markets, but you as well see revolutions, fast changes, super fast changes, which are much, much faster going than the processes we have gone through. That makes that market so interesting today. It's obvious that this market will become, let's say, the biggest contributor in the aftermarket business in the coming years. We can't stop it, it will happen. For that reason, we as NEXUS, we dedicate a big part of our resources already in that region. We have James Zhang, our business developer located in Shanghai, working with members and suppliers locally. We recently added Mike Yu, being senior expert and our aftermarket strategic consultant in order to help us to prepare the future. And we have Martin Hendriksen. And Martin, as business developer for South Africa, he volunteered to go also for the other markets. I guess he was having some time remaining. He said, okay, let me travel around and let me as well see and find out this interesting area called Asia. James and Mike, they work on the greater part of China, meaning China, Hong Kong, Taiwan, and Korea, whereas Martin is working on the other remaining countries. Together with me, we are a team of 4 people spending our time in that region. Next to that, like Gael already announced, and after me, he will introduce himself, we have the NEXUS sourcing office, 4 people managed by Nicolas. So all in all, we are there with already 8 persons in order to prepare and to be ready for the future which is coming. Now I want to share some facts and figures with you. And based on these facts and figures, we can see, where is your experience of this market and how we see this market evolving. So take your phones. First question will be, what's the size today of the vehicle population in 2017 in China? $157 million to 17 million to 67 million. Maybe you were expecting more, I don't know. So the outcome, the biggest number is correct today. Today the market is 217 million. But, you know, you're doubting. So today the market is on the level of production and sales, 30 million cars. 30 million cars, 1/3 of the global production goes to China. And if you see the trend, and you see the trend over the past years, you see that this market remains growing and growing. And especially if you compare it to the other markets, you see it is a trend which is continuing like that. Two very important points. It's nice to see this number, but what does the number mean on the aftermarket point of view and on the growth point of view? So first of all, the average car by person population today in China is 1 on 6 still, only. If you look at the mature market, like for instance the US, it's almost 1 on 1. For that reason, we can say that this market remains growing. The economic growth in China is going on. People have money, they invest in cars. So definitely 1 on 6 against 1 on 1 in the mature market. We know for sure that this market remains booming for the next years. Another point, and that's interesting for our aftermarket. The average age of a car only is today 4.7 years, which means OES is still dominating that market. 4.7 years, they are hardly out of warranty. If you look at, again, the mature markets, you see the US more than 11 years. Cars older than 6 years in China represent only 35%. Cars in the US older than 11 years represent almost 50% of the market. So imagine how much business is coming into this independent workshop channel in the next years. It's huge. We can wait for that. It will happen. We know it. But what is important is this market ready for it? Today, questionable. Tomorrow, with our support, the market might be ready to handle this huge demand. Second question. What's the size of business today? In dollar, in China, aftermarket size of business. We talk billions, no millions. Dollar. Okay, let's see. 210, 260, 160. Not yet. Not yet. It will come. The size of business today is 160 billion. But look at the growth trend. China today is the second largest market after the US. And with this trend, in 2020 being 214 to 220 billion, they will soon become the largest aftermarket. Again, what is important, this number, two things. OES dominating again, simply because the age of the car today. Secondly, because end consumer in China do not trust the independent workshops today. The very limited service levels, very poor quality repair is driving them literally to go to 4S, like they call OES in China. This needs to change, and again, we can only change this by educating the independent, supporting and educating the independent aftermarket. Last question for me on this one. The number of workshops in China. Huge numbers. Okay, let's see the answer. You know, very different opinions. But true, the number today is 450,000. I didn't count them personally. It might be a few thousand less or more, but let's say on average, it is a 450,000 number you find in the marketplace. Some interesting facts on this one. If you look at international or local chains, and again, it can compare to the mature markets today, on 450,000, you count 5,000 workshops. That shows, first of all, that there is a lot of work to do, again, in professionalizing this area. You see a huge number on what we call fast fit. It's not the fast fit like we used to know it in our markets, but it's the easy repair market. Because people have no confidence, they go for their technical repair, they go for their warranty to 4S, but in case it is needed for batteries, tires, they go to the fast fit workshop, where they trust this easy repair. Distributors, 7,000. Okay, the market is huge, but the average size of a distributor compared to our market, you can't hardly find a huge volume like distributor as we have, let's say, in Europe or the US. The biggest distributors, they do a business of 150 million or 160 or maybe 200 million, but not like the 1 billion ones we see nowadays in our areas. The average size of a distributor, what we found out, let's say, going around over the past 3 years, was even around 7 to 8 million sales revenue. From this 7 to 8, they do more than 50% genuine parts. Because this counterfeit issue, because the end consumer not having trust in the independent aftermarket, the distributors sell for the majority of their business today, even the genuine parts. Again, a huge opportunity when the car gets older, that this genuine parts will be replaced by our aftermarket business, what we are looking for. And then, if you look at the number, 250,000 retailers dealing, I said, with close to 400,000 workshops. That's almost 1 or 1.5. How can they make money? And they don't make money. Margins are very poor on that level. Because simply there is too much competition. Simply because a supplier in the aftermarket, to gain some volume for their business, they have a too huge customer base. Having a too huge customer base means that the product is offered at every corner, and therefore, again, margins under pressure, and the aftermarket is not happy how it's going. So you can say the market is in motion, and there are lots of initiatives going on as we speak. And these initiatives go very fast, faster than you can imagine. So if you look at What we see as the game changers in this market, and I use a bit the wording we all are used to today, consolidation. Okay, can we consider consolidation in this market? Actually, not yet. Not like we know consolidation as we see in our markets. Not people buying people and getting growing bigger and bigger. But what you do see, let's say on the level of consolidation, is alliances, local alliances, or regional or national alliances. Distributors working together more and more. In a soft way or in a hard way. Soft way, okay, we gather together and we act as a group. In a hard way, where they go from a central warehouse or a central platform, central IT, and really create a local alliance. We have good examples entering Nexus. We have, within consolidation, we can also see a change of processes, a change of members who today, like our e-commerce member called Autozie, is changing their business model. They are going to work together more and more with local distributors. I don't say the level of retail, but the smaller size distributors, in order to have a logistic answer and cover the whole market nationwide. These kind of processes you see happening, that's what we can call consolidation in China. It doesn't make the market more visible. Already we get often questions from suppliers saying, okay, but is this one an affiliate? Why is it an affiliate? Is he belonging to this one or that one? It happens, you know, we can't change it. It's a case, it's a fact what we are considering. Digitalization, the other point. What is called in the US Amazon and Amazon threats in the aftermarket business, you have in China Alibaba. Alibaba is also entering the market, launching a marketplace B2B, and will become one of the biggest threats over there as well. You have other initiatives like JD.com. You have local, more local or smaller initiatives. It is a market, it is a fact you can't avoid. Booming interest of vehicle manufacturers. Okay, you have vehicle manufacturers interested in the aftermarket more and more. We have the good example of PSA, and even PSA, who bought a distributor in China now to launch their Euro Repair network chain. Sorry, workshop chain. And you have new channels. You know, in these new channels, you have complete new businesses starting up. One of the best examples we have now is insurance companies who are government-owned, investing a lot of money to develop the aftermarket business in China. 2 out of 3 biggest government-owned insurance companies are starting. And one of the biggest will join tomorrow, Nexus. This one is called PICC. She will have Grace. I don't know where you are, Grace, but... Hi, Grace. You will have your first meetings tomorrow with the suppliers to explain your business model. It is a marketplace. You already have your so-called customer base, which are the body parts workshops today. You will work with this marketplace to connect the body parts workshops with the distributors and the suppliers. And it's a new channel which we will embrace because we need to. And we, as Nexus, are innovative, so we will support this kind of initiatives. And then service and training, obviously, the channel, this part of the business needs to be further developed in order to prepare the future of the aftermarket in China. So our vision, okay, it's not a revolutionary model we show here, but it's good to map the market in China. You see, let's say, 4 different main channels, which is called traditional, like we know the traditional market in our area, multi-brand, multi-product, with the big exception, again, that a big part of the traditional distributors is selling genuine parts. Then we have product specialists, because remember the fast fit chain, fast fit workshop I must say. Specialists who are only dealing on oil, tire, or batteries. Specialists who only deal on one single brand. That's what we call the product specialist in this area, which is a huge part of the market still. We have new channel, just talked about. New channel is these changes of business models, these alliances, this e-commerce business, and so on. And we have commercial, heavy duty, still becoming a more important channel in our China market. Previously, maybe less, change of rules, government rules, now emission and so on. They will move to so-called better branded cars, trucks. The product's clear technical because there is a big difference between technical and maintenance on the level of product supply, body parts, and fast fit, what is called the 3 product lines I just mentioned. That's how we see the market. That's how we figure out to have a good view on, okay, how is the market built up? Then if you look, what are we going to do with it? What are our short-term key success drivers? First of all, channel expansion, or call it differently, we have to grow our member base. Today we are 15 members. Great effort done. We are not the one who wants to have the quantity. We want to have the quality. So we take our time, we find the right partners, but we need to grow still our channel. We have our model, we build it, and we say, okay, within this model, you see the gaps, and you see the gaps we can fill. And we want to be active in every channel, because on every channel there is a business you can take. And in every channel we want to support in the right way, and especially if you talk new channel, and if you talk product specialist level, where there's a big business at stake. That's how we will grow our business. Secondly, we are going to launch NEXUS Auto. It will be the pilot project for this year, because it is important to grow that market, to grow and to educate and to train and to support the independent workshop and prepare them to be ready for the future. We'll do it as a pilot project with 2 of our partners. G-Part will run it as powered by NEXUS Auto, integrating it in their own concept. And we have Yantai, who will launch NEXUS Auto as a full concept. And obviously, as Gail already said, NEXUS Academy training programs we will launch dedicated to the China aftermarket. So, I don't say that we are fully ready, but I hope to have been able to explain to the audience today, with my humble experience of China, are you ready? Are you ready to support us and build together this aftermarket future, which is definitely going to take place in China? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Bas. To go further into the Chinese market, as Gail announces before, there's been a sourcing office opened last summer in China from NEXUS. And there are lots of things that have been said on this sourcing office. To know exactly what it is and to end with all suspicious, please welcome his general manager, Mr. Nick Ross.
Good afternoon, welcome. My name is Nicholas Russ. I'm the General Manager of the Sourcing Office in Shanghai, also the Director of Sourcing for NEXUS. So, as my colleagues before me, we'd like to run a quick quiz, a few questions. How many registered companies are there in China making auto parts today? Is it 20,000, 40,000, 100,000? Do we have the answers? Oh, you're very good. Exactly right, 100,000. There are 100,000 registered companies in China today making auto parts. Second question. How many of these companies, registered companies, have a sales greater than 3 million USD? Annual sales greater than 3 million USD. Do we have the answer? Sorry? The answer is 12,000. So 12,000 have a sales greater than 3 million USD today. 88,000 companies have an annual sales less than 3 million USD. Third question. Working at office, how long would it take the NEXUS sourcing office to evaluate all of these companies that have sales greater than 3 million USD? Do we have the answer? In fact, it's 50 years. It will take us 50 years to evaluate all of those companies with sales greater than 3 million USD. So Gail, great initiative to launch the sourcing office. You're just 49 years too late. So let me tell you a little bit about the sourcing office and what we're doing. I want to cover 5 subjects this afternoon. Basically, how we've been spending our time. The sourcing office was created in July of last year, so we're 9 months into our history. I want to talk about quality, about what we're doing in the sourcing office to ensure that you, the members, are able to purchase high-quality products. Then I want to talk about what we're doing in terms of specification and cost analysis. And this differentiation between quality and cost is very important. Between quality and specification is very important. Then talk about the multi-member RFQs. So we're currently running 7 multi-member RFQs. This week is really your last opportunity as members to participate. So we're here for the next 3 days. If they are interesting to you, please come and see me, and we can talk about how we can integrate you into this program. And then finally, I want to wrap up with some conclusions to eliminate some misconceptions, some misunderstandings about the sourcing office. So, how have we been spending our time these past months? We've been incredibly busy. We've met 80, in fact it's 90 now, the 120 NEXUS members, 90 of them we've met, and hopefully by the end of this week, we'll have added at least 20 more. We've evaluated 110 new suppliers. And out of that 110 new suppliers, we've made a pre-evaluation, a pre-audit, which has involved us in 100 plant visits. And just think about that number, 100 plant visits. We actually started visiting the factories around the end of September, beginning of October. That means we're averaging 20 per month. 20 pre-audits of suppliers per month. That's incredibly powerful. It's available to you, the members, to use. And this is now 25 pricing studies. These numbers again. Where does it lead us? Well, it's led us to creating now the multi-member RFQs. So we've selected 7 product families, and we'll talk about those in a little bit more detail later. And today, in those 7 multi-member RFQs, we have 21 of the members. So there are 100 other members that are not yet participating. Again, the invitation is open. At the end of the week, we'll have to stop because we have to start doing the work. So please, if you are interested, join the program. Let's talk about quality. And straight away, I want to eliminate one simple misconception, is that quality costs money. It is not true. It is not true at all. Quality does not cost money. Specification, performance costs money, but quality does not. In fact, the complete opposite is true. When we are improving the quality of our products, the cost is going to come down. How do we do that? Obviously, through simplification, through measuring performance, auto-controlling, removing waste, and eliminating rework. If we're improving quality in this way, we are reducing the cost of the manufacturing of the product. When we visit the suppliers, we look for 3 essential tools. And of course, all of these suppliers have all the certificates that they need. But we look for 3 essential tools. We're looking for the FMEA, we're looking for the work instructions, and we're looking for the control plans. And importantly, we are looking to understand that the supplier has understood the relationship between these 3 tools and how they work together, and how they work together in a program of continuous improvement. In the FMEA, we're looking for a logic. In the work instruction, we're looking for alignment with that FMEA. And in the control plan, we're looking that he's measuring, recording, analyzing, and acting. A member asked me a question: what's your strategy on inspecting the parts? I had to answer, I don't have a strategy, I don't know how to. How can anybody expect us to inspect a container full of clutches? It's impossible. What we're looking for is to build in the suppliers a quality management culture. So we're looking for suppliers who speak the same language. And I don't mean, of course, Chinese. I mean, they speak the same quality language. We're looking for suppliers who are measuring and continuously improving. And we're looking for suppliers who have a real expertise in the product and the technology, who have not blindly copied, but really understand what the product does, how it performs. With these elements, we can help the supplier then improve, because that's part of our role, to help the suppliers improve, to build a very strong quality management culture. Now, let's talk about our work on specification and cost. I'm going to show you 3 examples. A water pump. We had a request from several members to do some costing, some pricing on water pumps. So we collected together a list of supplier names. There were many. We reduced the list down to 10. We visited all 10. We eliminated 3. And we started working together with 7. When we ran the pricing exercise, the index of prices quoted varied from 100 down to 70, and everything in between. You can also notice that 4 of these 7 suppliers are currently supplying NEXUS members today. So perhaps the guy sitting next to you is actually paying 30% less for his water pump than you are. We wanted to understand more. Why? So we began to look at the manufacturing strategies that all the different suppliers had. A great deal of assembly was going on, very little manufacturing. The bigger water pump suppliers have integrated die casting, integrated machining, but the medium size, smaller size were outsourcing. And when we challenged some of the more expensive suppliers with their prices, they said, yes, but we're using components which are a much higher specification than our competitors. We're using seals and bearings which perform much better. So what did we do? We investigated this point. So we studied for each of the suppliers, number 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9, 10, who are their suppliers for the bearing and the sealing. And you start to see some similar names across all of the suppliers. And then we ran quotations with these suppliers directly ourselves, thinking about as well, perhaps we will impose the supplier for the bearing and seal to the water pump supplier. And when we did the quotation, what did we find? Extremely homogeneous pricing for those subcontract suppliers. Not a real surprise. So when we look at a water pump and we begin to build up the cost, of course, every water pump is slightly different sizes, etc. But we come to a bill of materials, perhaps $2 or $2.50. When you look generally across the Chinese auto parts industry, material on average constitutes 60 to 65% of the selling price. Another example that we're working on is brake pad. Brake pad is a product that we've introduced into our multi-member RFQ. If today you ask a Chinese supplier for a quotation for a brake pad, you get a price. You have no idea about what it means in terms of performance. He'll probably say it's a good level or it's a lower level. But when you look at the cost drivers in a brake pad, the backplate material, the friction material, the shim material, the hardware, they all have a huge impact on the performance, and therefore they have a huge impact on the cost. One of the key features of the multi-member RFQ for brake pad, and those of you who have already signed up for the brake pad multi-member RFQ are already working on this, we've asked you to send to us your samples. So these are your samples from your existing supplier, or in the case where you're just launching for the first time your private label, we ask you to send the suppliers of the competitor against whom you need to compete in your market. And we will perform a dyno test on the samples that you will send to us. We will be able to then feed back to you exactly what is your level of performance. Knowing your performance, we'll be then able to make sure that the offer that comes from the suppliers will match exactly what you're looking for in terms of performance and therefore in terms of price. Similar exercise on shock absorbers. We had quotes from many suppliers. We started to look at the cost breakdown of at least 2 of these suppliers. Just looking at the 2, we identified for material a 34% difference, labor a 52% difference, management cost a 30% difference, VAT a 67% difference. So I think we all understand what the game is on the VAT. This type of variation in the cost breakdown, supplier to supplier, is a fantastic tool for us as buyers. If one day we ask for cost breakdowns from all of the suppliers and all of the cost lines are the same, we as buyers are going to have a harder task. So this is a great opportunity for us. So our job is to understand what it means, to challenge it and to leverage it. We're also going to address packaging in the second half of this year, because we believe there's a great opportunity for the NEXUS community if we can source together the packaging. Right now, the packaging is inflating in price in China, mainly because of tougher controls on factory emissions. And if we can perhaps purchase together our packaging, we can have a much better benefit. So now, just to go into a bit more detail about the multi-member RFQs. As I said, we've picked 7 product lines. They're listed here. Number of members who are currently participating. We have room for a few more. We can also take care of some other additional product lines if you wish. What's important about this multi-member RFQ is that we're here to listen to what you need, the members. We want to understand what you need. So you've received from us Excel sheets to complete. You've also been asked to send us samples that we will analyze. We also wish those members to bring their existing good suppliers to the party. If you have a good supplier, we're interested to work with him. We don't know all of the suppliers. It's going to take us 49 years to evaluate them all. So when you have a good supplier as a member, we wish to understand who he is and how the whole community can benefit from him. And as well, we don't want to do this work on our own. So we want the members to participate. So for each of the product lines, we're looking for 2 or 3 members to join our project team. To conclude, I just want to clarify the role of the sourcing office. We hear sometimes, in fact, we're a trading company. It's false. That we only want you to use the suppliers that we propose. It's false. That we're here just to supply you names of suppliers that we found. We are not the Yellow Pages. We are not Google. It's false. We're here to help bring benefits to the members through consolidation. That's for sure. We're here to help the members professionalize their purchasing with our toolbox. That's for sure. We're here to help the suppliers improve QCDMA. That's for sure. We're also here to help bring to the benefit of the community the expertise that is within the membership. I've met 90 of you. Each time I meet somebody who has a certain expertise on a product line. That expertise is something that the whole community can benefit from. So working through the sourcing office, we can pass that benefit out to the whole of the community. What we're about is for sure is to help you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nick. To end this first part of the plenary session, and I know that you're waiting for the coffee break, but when I will tell you what we're going to talk about right now, I'm sure that you will stay. It's about the compliance ratio. Always too low for suppliers, always too high for members. Can we find a way that the compliance ratio for the entire community becomes a virtue? The answer will be given right now by Thierry Munier.
So, I'm always the lucky guy to try to terminate the session. Just before I start, sorry, Emmanuel, we've seen one question on this nice connected tools that we're using. Just to avoid any misunderstanding, the sourcing office in China is also 100% open to all the premium brand suppliers of NEXUS, because it's also a way for us to show what is the quality level that you guys are performing in some Asiatic markets. It's not a purpose for us to do something, as it was mentioned in the question that you have in the application, against any premium brand suppliers. That's exactly the opposite way around that you should consider. Exactly the opposite way around. Nick is insisting so much on quality. That is the preliminary focus we have to fight against counterfact, to fight against low quality, to determine ethical and technical standards through ethical and technical charts. We'll further elaborate on that with you, of course, but I think it's very important to remind that, because that's one of the key commitments we have to better protect our premium brand suppliers, which are here today in the room. So to come back on something which is a bit more, let's say, in my area, in my plate, today we have decided all together to give to NEXUS, to give to this full entrepreneurial community, a real strong and transparent update about 2 key elements, which are 2 key fundamental values of NEXUS. The first one being transparency, The second one being how to drive performance altogether. So 4 years ago, when we have incorporated NEXUS Automotive International, we have been fairly open with all of you to disclose the way we will work, the intention, the vision, the commitment. Today, after 4 years almost of existence, we do strongly believe that it's high time to provide you a very, very transparent and clear way on how we have driven this performance and what driving performance from an international trading groups means. Especially, we'll focus on one key performance indicators which you are all familiar with, which is the famous, in bracket, compliance ratio. Allow me to ask you a last time today to use your smartphone to connect again, because it's not this time a question for us to identify if you have the right answer or not. It's more an opinion sharing that I would like to do with you, and that after we will give you how way we are anticipating and following that. So the first opinion sharing or quiz I would like to ask you is, according to you, what is the most relevant key performance indicators when we are talking about the performance of an international trading groups or the performance of a spare part distributors? Are we talking compliance ratio? Are we talking turnover? Are we talking EBITDA? Are we talking the famous eligible purchasing volume, which we'll clarify? Or are we talking about others? Can we have the answer, please? Good. 47%, according to you, 47% consider that compliance ratio is a key performance indicators. That's also sharing roughly our feeling and our visions. The second question, how do you understand the word and the terminology compliance ratio? Are we talking about purchases done with NEXUS suppliers above the total purchases? Premium brand purchases above the total purchases? Or purchases volume OEM under total purchases? This one is an easy one. Can we have the answer, please? Okay. The good news is that we have the same type of definition. We will clarify the NEXUS way of making this calculation in the slides just after. The third question. According to you, what should be considered as a normal or efficient compliance ratio? 15%, 25%, 40%, above 50%? I see a lot of people smiling. We'll have nice discussion after. Can you have the answer, please? Okay, now we know that 59% of the assembly is composed by suppliers. Thank you for that. Can we move on to the next question? So it's good that everybody agreed on the idea to have a strong compliance ratio. Now, how we improve it? How we make it happen? Should we encourage NEXUS members to purchase more with NEXUS suppliers? Should we encourage NEXUS suppliers to work more with NEXUS members? Should we implement some strong category management system and policy? Should we reinforce training delivered on premium brands? Should we focus on new distribution channel? Or should we concentrate and support better the consolidators? I'll let you a bit more time because I know it's not an easy one. And we'll still see if 58% of the suppliers are answering the same answer. Can we have the answer, please? Okay, it's really 58% of the assembly composed by suppliers. Okay, thank you. Can we move to the next one? This is the last question, I think. Okay. So just to make it as a little summary, you all have approximately the same version and the same definition of the compliance ratio and how it works in terms of purchasing volume, eligible purchasing volume. We'll come back to that after. You all think that we should deserve a more than 50% compliance ratio to be effective, to be relevant, to be really acting as a strong professional organization. We'll answer you on that. It's a little bit more mitigated when we start to look at what are the solutions to have a better compliance ratio altogether. Better work with NEXUS suppliers, better work with NEXUS members, and after you've got a couple of keys that we have provided to you, to think about how we should improve it. So today, what we have been decided with the board of NEXUS and the management team of NEXUS is to give you a very fairly transparent version and vision about how NEXUS way of considering that and the way we should grow all together as a collective entrepreneurial community. First of all, allow me to tell you, the compliance ratio for NEXUS is a common asset of all of us. It's not only an indication of a performance, it needs to be considered a common asset of this community. We are all very strong to defend our family, our business, our key priorities. For NEXUS, this compliance ratio is an asset. The more we grow together, the more value we bring all together. I will strongly insist on that, because this community was born to create business opportunity. Of course, sometimes it takes time. Of course, sometimes we have a lot of different challenges in front of us that we are very happy to handle. But fundamentally, this is a collective responsibility and commitment from all of us. I will be quite let's say, a little bit more technical in how NEXUS is defining the compliance ratio. To be very, very transparent and clear, the compliance ratio of NEXUS is a simple equation. It's the eligible purchasing volume, meaning the purchasing volume that you guys, the members, the part distributors, are purchasing with NEXUS suppliers. Divide by what we call the auto parts aftermarket purchasing volume. What do we put in the auto part aftermarket purchasing volume? All the aftermarket purchases, minus the OIS purchases, minus chemicals, minus body parts. Why? Because for the time being, it's not category product that we are covering. So it's good to talk about what does it mean. It's good to give you this NEXUS definition, which is only valid for NEXUS. Let's talk about figures now, and let's see a bit your reaction on those figures. Let's talk about not figures, let's talk about performance. So, I would like to remind you, 12 months ago in Montreux, we have taken a very huge commitment, which was to say that we gave us 12 months to move from a 20% compliance ratio to a 23% compliance ratio. If I listen to suppliers who massively vote for above 50%, you might say, what's these figures? What Thierry is trying to explain to us now? I will be very direct this time. It's just the fact that we as NEXUS, we are not looking at the 20, 23, 26, 29, 50, 52, whoever. What is most important for us is what it means to move from 20 to 23% in 12 months. It means for us to have been successfully move 150 million euro purchasing volume from non-NEXUS suppliers to NEXUS suppliers within this community. So we can talk percentage or whatsoever. The reality is in 12 months, with the development of NEXUS overall footprint, with all the action of the business developers, with the great commitment of the members, with also the great commitment of the suppliers to open new accounts, to work better together, we have moved 150 million euro purchasing volume from non-NEXUS suppliers to NEXUS suppliers. And I'm here talking about the same perimeter. There's no confusion between new entries or whatsoever. But today, on March 13, we are also ready to take a new commitment with you. Because are we happy with these figures? Definitely, yes. We assume it, but not with the figures, with the achievement done. Are we proud about having such an incredible capacity to drive this growth? Definitely yes, because it's your success. Do we think that we are at the right level? No. We need to keep on growing, improving all together. So let's take today the commitment that in 12 months' time now, we will be at more than 26%, which means we need to convert an extra almost 200 million euro, exactly 190 million euro, purchasing volume done from non-NEXUS suppliers to our premium brand suppliers, which is huge. It's fundamentally really significant. But driving the compliance ratio when you are part of a global community deserves a little bit more of in-depth analysis. We cannot say globally we are 23 or 26%. This deserves analysis per region. And that's the way we are working in NEXUS. I think Philippe was telling about working global, acting local, thinking global, acting local. Here you can see that in 2016, where we were in terms of compliance ratio per region, I think you will all recognize the different region directly. What was 2017, and what is now the commitment that we have taken for 2018 within the team, within the executive committee and board of directors. It's not a question of you looking at which figures or what. What is the most important message is this commitment is valid everywhere in the five continents. Sorry, Philippe, we don't have anybody in Antarctic. This is important because a collective effort is mandatory all over the world, from all our community. Now allow me to tell you about what are the different ways for us to think about improving this compliance ratio. The first key element is, and that reminds me about my past when I was not in the aftermarket, the category management. This is an action that we'll engage in 2018 and 2019 with all our distributors, all our part distributors, whatever channel of distribution we are talking about, with the strong support of our part manufacturers to work on category management. This is an area of improvement of profitability, this is an area of improvement of process efficiency, and this is an area of creating better value together. The second element will be training. Why we insist so much in NEXUS Academy, and we'll come back to that in the second part of this plenary. Because it's a key way in fast-growing market to improve the loyalty of your customers. And this is an investment, this is a responsibility that we have to consider all together today. The third element, and I think it's Gael who mentioned it initially, is we need also to think about the distribution strategy. We need to think about the purchasing strategy. We still have in NEXUS approximately 200 million euro purchase each year in Europe from NEXUS members to other part distributors. How can we work on that with our members? How should we work on that with our part manufacturers? How should we bring more value to that? We are not saying that we need to move 100 million, 200 million, but there is case-by-case scenario where having some domestic leaders can bring you much more value than focusing on export house or wholesalers who are going in a lot of different countries. That's just a question of having the right strategy and what we are permanently engaging with you. The last one, and that's something which is fairly new for NEXUS. If we want to work all together, if we want to commit all together to an entrepreneurial responsibility to grow the compliance ratio, to grow our performance all together, that deserves a real strong collective effort. And as in any sport team, in any company, making a collective effort deserves to award the best performers, but also to have capacity to penalize the one who doesn't want to respect the collective rules of this community. So today we are officially announcing and launching for our full NEXUS community a new reward and penalty system that will be applied from the 1st of January 2019. In 2018, all the business developers will spend time with all our members to explain, to calculate, to show what this reward and penalty system is working on and how it will work. What will have been the consequence in 2018 in case we would have applied already the system. We have defined some criteria. Criteria are linked to compliance ratio, are linked to strategic suppliers usage, are linked to number of suppliers used by part distributors per category product. When I say number of suppliers, I'm talking about numbers of NEXUS suppliers. And it will be something which deserves two key elements. To first of all have a very, very transparent, robust, and rigorous system to make the calculation in a transparent way altogether. But it deserves also a bit of flexibility sometimes, which our system is allowing us to have, because we can have scenario, as we've seen in Middle East this year as an example, where from an economical or political perspective, the market is being a little bit punished or a little bit decreasing, and we cannot charge a community for that. So it deserves, in the same way, a robust process, a rigorous method of calculation, and a fairly transparent one, but some flexibility. So each part distributors, members of NEXUS, will have opportunity to discuss with their business developers, where they will provide you the full details, the full mechanics, and as we said before, we are all here to commit to a collective success, to go for an extra 3% compliance ratio in 12 months. So we should only focus on the way to deliver that from a collective perspective in an entrepreneurial spirit. If we want to be better together, if we want to all bring this value together, to be better prepared, to work better together, this is a way for us to have a sustainable growth, to be ensured to this full community who deserve effort from the members, but who will also deserve effort from our part distributors in order to reach that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Thierry. We're going to take 15 minutes coffee break. It's right there. And I would ask for those of you who will participate into the panels right after to come back to see me in 10 minutes. Okay? Thank you very much. sorry to push you a little, but we are running late, and I don't want you to miss this famous aperitif that is waiting for you. Before you relax with the aperitif, we'll launch this first debate on digitalization. May I remind you that here in this room, and you guys that are following us on the live streaming, you can ask any questions you wish to ask to the panel here via your application ComexMe. We're here with Gael, that I, of course, will not present. Mike Yu, who is a specialist of the Chinese market, and he's working with NEXUS for a few years now. Okay. We're here with Christophe Riberol, who's the Chief Digital Officer of NEXUS. Gael told you about in his introduction. We're here with Juan Garcia. You're the CEO of AB Ravenslar. Voilà. You understand why I couldn't do it. And we're here with Joachim Volker. You're the CFO, okay, of a market, of not a marketplace, but a web store. For GP, absolutely. Okay. When you speak to me, please take a microphone. Okay, it will be easier. We will go through 2 questions on digitalization. Is digitalization a threat for suppliers, for members? What can we put from what can we get from the digitalization? Is there any virtue that you can find? And once we get this answer, we'll ask our panelists what are the key success for transformation for some of you guys who wants to get into the digitalization. Gael, later you told us that digitalization is definitely a priority for NEXUS, and Christophe presents here is the proof. Concretely, beyond Christophe on board, what is this marketplace? You talked about us before, marketparts.com?
Exactly, marketparts.com. I think that better than lots of words, I invite you to a movie that will be self-explanatory, and then let's talk.
Okay. What's the main objective of this marketparts.com that you're launching today?
So, as I told you earlier today, this community had a challenge. This community had to face a fairly significant B2B business with transactions being made partly in-house and partly outside our home. So it's a fact, you know, all the manufacturers, our friends, have been working on price harmonization. When I was a young financial controller at 26, I was given an assignment in the company where I was working, and it was at that time ready to work on price harmonization. So we have all the same challenge. Now, despite that, there is a number. You know, when Thierry is accumulating numbers every quarter and says, we still buy 200 million euro outside our home, what can we do? That's how the idea came up, and this is all mixed with the emergence of marketplaces in all kinds of industries. So, a problem that we try to solve to make sure that we get more business made in our family, more transactions made in our family, exclusively made with products that we promote, and at the same time the emergence, a trend that Christophe has identified, which is the development of marketplaces, B2B marketplaces around the world. So the convergence of trying to solve a problem with an opportunity that had not been seized until now by anybody in this market brought us to launching this project, accelerating the execution of the project, and be ready today with the launch of this marketplace.
Christophe, to start with, I would like you to tell us for real what's the difference between a marketplace we're talking about and a web store, for example, of your hacking. What is the difference between a web store and marketplace?
On a marketplace, you have all different sellers, and on a website like on ATP, ATP sell his own product. But there is also websites who accept sellers outside their own product, and there are at the same time a website and a marketplace.
You mean they are retailers? Online
mostly,
retailers?
No, mostly on the market today it's for an average basket of 100 euros. So you choose your parts considering your car, and you order it. What we try to do with market parts, it's a little different. First, it's a tool. It's a tool for distributor to search several hundred or several thousand references and to have an answer on this reference. So it's totally different from a B2B or regular B2B or B2C marketplace. I'm looking for an average basket about 15,000 euros.
Will this marketplace open only to NEXUS suppliers or any sellers?
Today, it's open to all the NEXUS distributor. It will help the distributor to trade between each other.
Between each other.
Each other. And really, I insist on that. It's a tool. And the past 3 weeks, I met some, I will call them early adopters. And we built together this tool. I don't wake up one morning and I said, okay, we will do this way. That's not what I said to Gael. I said, we have a community. There is some trade they can do inside the community. So I will build the tool with them. So I go to ask them, in your everyday business, if you want to trade or to buy on a distribution level, what kind of tool you're looking for. Right now, we launched the basic one, and in the following week, we will enrich the tool with the first feedback of the first seller and buyer.
So to be very clear, we are not with parts.com, marketparts.com, bypassing any suppliers. It's for the NEXUS community.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes? If I may add something
Sure.
to what Christophe says, because the supply community may, of course, have questions on that. We, with Thierry, our CFO, will judge the result of this project based on primarily one figure. As I told you, in Europe, we have an easy figure to drive is those famous purchases that we do on the other side of the road, if I may say so, in a family that is not ours. We're going to track this number. If this number drastically decreases, this project is a success, and we have a number of pillars within our family. If it doesn't decrease, we'll have other problematics to deal with. But that's what we are going to work on. And of course, Thierry will be following these numbers now progressively every month to see if this tool is enabling us to solve basically the initial element that brought us into this tool.
Let's put ourselves in a positive view. If it fits the objectives Gal just drew, how can it change the economic model? Does it change an economic model, and how can it change an economic model?
I don't think when we speak about digitalization, we always have to change the economic model. It will bring maybe some business more from Nexus inside the Nexus community, but we don't break the rules because this business is existing between members today, but we'll try to drive it inside the community. So we don't break any rules in the distribution of market parts right now.
And do you believe this is an evolution of the business as usual, or will it be a major trends that will figure out what will be the market in the 10 or 15 coming years?
We have to be, I think, more modest. It's really a tool that will help you to trade, and that's really the starting point, because if we consider digitalization, it's first using tool who makes your life most easier. And all of you in your everyday life, you are using very easy app on your mobile phone, and you expect the same for a B2B tool. And that's exactly what I try to do. So I move the rules on that, but I don't move the rules between the distributor, between the brand and everything. No, I just give a tool which is easy. I will try to make it very easy. And also, in some way, to collect information about all these trades that we can do on the platform. So that's the 2 points. The third point, when we consider digitalization, is to disrupt the market. But in this case, we don't disrupt anything. We just, thanks to the community, to create a tool dedicated for the community to help them to make business.
Okay.
Now, I would add that technology has helped us here in a very reduced time with very limited investments. And that's the main lesson for us. Now, we will, as I said, follow the indicators, but the most important thing, having been over 20 years on the side of suppliers, the most important thing is that this marketplace is in the hands of people that know the business. You know, while we were developing the marketplace, we got information as well that there were other attempts to create similar marketplaces, but by people that were not in a business. When Christophe is saying, I can track, I can block a flow from one country to the other, I can manage, I can talk with suppliers, I can share, it's certainly not what a wild marketplace made by non-parts professionals would have as a, I would say, as a language. So I think that the question that was raised a year ago, and we start to talk with all of you, we presented this tool to a number of you in October at Equipoto. We want everybody on one side to relax, but on the other side to say that problems that we have, and we are not the big fish for the moment that was on the picture. In fact, those problems, we can solve them with tools that you would not have anticipated a year ago, okay? So, to the benefit to your brands, because we are here for that. And we don't want our members that have no access to brand XYZ or etc. to go to other options. We want them to find a solution in the community. Okay? So we'll see. We will share with you the implications based on data, and we'll manage. But it's not, I would say, for us, if I take the image of an elephant in a shop that sells porcelain, no. It's something that will solve a challenge, and at the end, it will be made, monitored in a very strong, sharp dialogue with the supply community.
Juan, I'd like to now ask you to share with us, because for us, for Nexus, it's the beginning of a story. But for you, digitalization is a part of your DNA. There's a long time, you have your own system, and we have lots of incredible stories, success stories within the Nexus community, within the Nexus members, and other members don't know that it exists within their own community. So could you share with us your incredible model and tell us how it works?
I will do that in a few seconds. First of all, I'm surprised about all the discussions about market parts. I like you, and you did a good work. But this is a very small thing. In a digitalized world, this is more or less nothing, sorry to say. We need to speed up the development in the industry. If we continue to having this kind of discussions for this kind of tools, I don't know where the future will be for us.
And can you share with us what is your model?
I don't know if we have the right model, but we started in 1996 with a catalog where you can put in the license plate number to get directly to the part number just for this individual vehicle. This was in 1996. So today we have integrated the system the same way you start with the license plate number, and you can go directly to maintenance of the car. You can get the scheme, the service scheme, the repair times, and you can create a quotation to the end customer in the same system, only one entry.
So you're far in advance, but do you notice that it's the same in all the countries because you're from Sweden? And when you travel, what do you experience? Is it the same in Germany, in France, in Italy, in Spain?
The interesting thing is that one part of it is it doesn't work in all countries because it's depending on how the license plate number is connected to the chassis number of the car. But when I see in countries which are not so developed, with the digitalization, they are more developed than other countries. And
how come? Because it's cold in Sweden?
In Sweden, we have different histories. We have geography. We have more than 2,000 kilometers from north to south. So we need to adapt the digitalization and the tools available to connect the people.
What is the key success for digitalization? If you got one key success, one above all, is there
simplifying the daily work.
You're another success story, Joachim. You've got your, it's not a marketplace, we understood, you have a web store, right?
We work with both channels. Yeah.
And what is the key of your success?
Let me say it on this way. At first, I'd like to correct Christoph, because we offer in our web shop 800,000 articles, means not only own our own products. Yeah? It's a big difference between our business is B2C, that must be clear for everybody in this room. Yeah? It's a big difference between a marketplace and our own web store is that on a marketplace, eBay in this case, is the owner, they know what the customer like, he knows what the customer is doing, and he can sell. And we have to pay to eBay. And we have a big range of competition. In our own web shop, of course, we have also to look what will be the price, but we can do our own price calculation, and we are master of the data. We can analyze what the customer like. We can see how often is he on our web page, when is he buying something, why he jump out of the web shop, and so on. Yeah? And this is a complete other view, what I say is in your business. Yeah?
Juan, when we were speaking together to prepare this debate, you were telling me that your solution is appropriate to B2B2C, to the garage. Can you explain us how and why this works with garage and why other solutions that would come out may not work for garage or workshop? Call them as you like.
I think it's depending on the demand with your customer. If you have a consumer as a customer, there are other demands rather than with a company. I think this is the main reason why you have to adapt the solutions.
And how do you secure the payments?
Once again?
How do you secure the payments online, the online payments?
I would say the easy one is to listen to the customers. You need to understand your customers.
Okay, now we'll go to a country in which digitalization is your blood, China. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So where do we stand in China when it comes to digitalization for the market?
Okay, before I talk about the China aftermarket digitalization, I'd like to share some information of other stuff. For instance, our WeChat. Maybe some of our friends here already use it with your colleague in China. Of course, Facebook is blocked for political reason. Here, Facebook blocked for economic reason. So WeChat is a combined Facebook, Twitter, PayPal, everything together. Just one app. So now they have like 1 billion active users. 1 billion. Every 8 of 10 Chinese use WeChat. How powerful. So the founder of the WeChat is Tencent, just Tencent, is the richest people in China. So this is about WeChat, social media. The second one is Alibaba. I think the Jack Ma is so famous right now. All the president want to receive him. Please bring our goods to China. So this is also a very powerful platform. For instance, like Alibaba, they create a holiday or carnival, November 11. You know, this is nothing. This is 4-1. They created this holiday. This is like a purchasing carnival. So last year, the sales from them just for 1 day is, let me calculate back to US dollar, 260 billion US dollar. This number is a combined US Thanksgiving, Black Friday, Cyber Monday is only 100 billion. Oh, sorry, 10 billion. Sorry, 10 billion. So they are more than doubled. More than doubled. Just 1 day. Just 1 day. If you compare our income versus US people's income, much low, but we still can create this kind of revenue. The third one is JD.com, also a platform. Is very similar to Amazon.com. They have in-house logistics. What they is very famous is 9/11. That means you purchase your order before 9 o'clock in the morning. You will receive your goods 11 o'clock, before 11 o'clock, same day, PM. How good experience. How good the customer experience and how powerful of them. The next one is ride hailing, Didi Chuxing. So they have like 450 million users. 450 million users. More than 7 billion orders per year. Okay. 7 billion orders per year. You know, if they want to enter the aftermarket business, what will happen? So they have money. They just last year they raised about $5 billion US dollar. $5 billion US dollar. One of the Abu Dhabi invest company, also one of them. And before that, Apple also invest $1 billion for this company. So now they become very, very powerful. So let's say back to the aftermarket, digitalization. So like I mentioned, Alibaba, JD.com, they are so important for B2C business, like our parts, wiper. Wiper, it's very simple because Chinese people not like America, DIY. We are not like DIY. We're like other people do us. But wiper, filters, I think those internationals in China maybe account their sales for that particular category 25 to 35%. Just one account. This is a super account. So this is the background. So that means once the invest, interesting the business, digitalization, improve our efficiency, improve customer experience, one day or very quickly will happen, B2B business. Because in most cases, the salespeople will receive a phone call, or this part number, that one, I try to find for you, no efficient. If I just give you account, give you app, you just search it for yourself. You can voice activate it. You can VIN number. But right now, we're still not a license number, since Chinese government is still not open the information to the public.
Okay. We have one question on Chinese market. Maybe, Gail, do you want to raise the question and answer?
Yes, in fact, from the audience, we see two questions coming up. First, a question from Damien. Of course, this tool that we have developed.
What is the question?
The question is, any plans to leverage the marketplace to have end suppliers pushing offers to end members? In fact, as we told you, the plan is to work within the community till end of June, then we globalize. We will look, of course, at your reaction or your creativity. And it's clear that selling that stocks much more actively with a digital tool is something that is in the radar screen. We've tried to develop a tool to sell that stocks inside the Nexus community already. With this tool, we'll probably have the ideal tool to be plugged in the central warehouses of you manufacturers to sell that stock. So we will be for sure in favor of that, but I leave this to Christophe once we have launched the marketplace. Then there is a second question asking if we have a strategy versus Amazon and Alibaba from Luca. It would be a bit arrogant to say that we have a strategy against the most, I would say, valuable company in the world. I mean, I don't know who has a strategy against Amazon today, but at least what we told you, we believe in the emergence of a B2B marketplace handmade by professionals from the business, and we think that we can take the leadership in this segment, and we will try to do so. Now, we are taking the case, as I said this 2 hours ago, one step ahead. And I hope that with your support, we'll take leadership in this very specific segment, which is the B2B transactional digital business.
Mike, yes. Do you believe that there's a way for Occidental players to make business and sustainable business in China when it comes to digitalization? Or is it a closed market?
Should possible. Chinese is a very welcome technology, welcome business. So definitely.
Okay. Gail, we're running out of time, unfortunately. Time goes fast. For you, the digitalization that you launched for Nexus last year was not an experience, it was a priority. How do you see the digitalization strategy in 5 years in the Nexus community?
Okay, if I look 5 years ago, I remember visiting ATP, and ATP belonging to a category of distributors that were, I would say, diabolized. You know, it was basically the internet channel was having very difficult relationship with the supply community. Now I see suppliers queuing to work with ATP. This has taken 5 years. Okay? On the B2B transactional, we have not done that, as we told you, just because we had creative ideas coming from somewhere. We had a problem to solve, and we found a solution. So I think, and I'm very confident, that we will find within the community a big success. We will globalize. We will gain leadership in this segment. And I'm sure that we're going to develop very creative sell-out ways of selling out parts with our strategic and our preferred partners. I'm convinced that this will come. The question that Damien was raising is an obvious one. We need to help in not selling only fast-moving parts. We need to help to sell the slow-moving parts that are, for sure, could find for sure an easy way out with a tool like that. So I'm very confident that this is a start, but with multiple ramifications.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Thanks a lot. We're going to end this first debate. Thank you. And we will now open this last debate of a session on professional education. Helmut, Holger, Liz, Thierry, Ragavan, please. Thierry, you can sit here. Yeah. Please, have a seat. This way, Liz, this way. Yeah, of course, Kirsten, come. Take this off, please. Take this off. Yeah. Okay, we're going to now speak about professional education because, as Gail told you in his strategic address, professional education, the human factor, is at the heart of NEXUS strategy. To open the debate, we have with us Thierry Meunier, that I won't present, Holger Heinrich from Bosch, Helmut Ernst from ZF TRW. We have here Liz. Alors, excuse me for your last name. Take the microphone.
Mudavanu.
From Zimbabwe, and she will share with us her experience. Ragavan from India, who has a tremendous experience and who is driving big innovation. We'll talk about it in a few seconds. And of course, Gerson Prado, who's very much involved in this professional education. To start with, Thierry, I would like you to remind us very quickly, what are those NEXUS academies? What are the pillars of those academies and what they are spread for?
Yeah, thank you, Emmanuel. We like to say in NEXUS, when we are talking about NEXUS Academy, about education in Brazil, about capacitation, we like to say better prepare, better train, better value. Why we talk about that? It's because for us, from the beginning of the story of NEXUS, and I would like to make a specific big thank you for Bosch, for ZF TRW, and also for SKF, who are over the past 2 years and a half helping us a lot in structuring this NEXUS Academy program all over the world. We like to say that combining strong heritage with shared values are very, very important matters, are much more talking about responsibility rather than commitment. And that's something very much important when we are talking especially about fast-growing markets. But for that, we deserve innovations, we deserve flexibility. And just to answer this question, Emmanuel, allow me to briefly try to remind all of you here today about the 3 pillars that we have, and especially about a lot of new things that we will propose, a new focus that we launch for 2018, 2019 in most of the fast-growing markets. So I know that in the order we start with the 3rd pillars. We all know what is the NEXUS School. Each year, during 1 week, we invite executive directors of our members to come for 1 week or 4 days exactly presentation delivered with our strategic part manufacturers and preliminary with the steering committee of NEXUS. And basically these pillars will have a bit some evolution this year, because after 2 years having run this specific so-called NEXUS School, we've decided to expand it at the international level in order to widen the audience and to allow all of you from the different countries to participate in the same way. So in 2018, we will provide 2 NEXUS schools. One will be related for Latin America footprint, very probably in São Paulo. It will be confirmed very soon, and it might be in June 2018. And one relating to Asia Pacific. We'll finalize the date, very probably end of October 2018, and it will be in India, in Chennai, and we'll talk about that a little bit after with Raghavan. The concept is the same, but we want now to really focus on a regional basis, and in 2019, we'll do the same for EMEA and for North America. And in 2020, we'll be back in other countries in Latin America and in Asia Pacific, and blah, blah, blah. The second pillar, which is, okay, we're back on the first pillar. The first pillar is basically the training that we are doing to the middle management of our part distributors. This is composed by different elements. The first element is some area of expertise that we want to bring, especially to the purchasing, procurement, and supply chain people, using external school, external experts that we are qualifying, verifying, and working with them in the aftermarket. We also have some trainings which are delivered here to the middle management by our key strategic suppliers and steering committee on some dedicated item. We always try to focus on product strategy. We also had this year category management and OE quality products because it deserves a lot of specific additional training to make it happen in most of those countries. The third one is, of course, product orientated. So usually when we talk about those middle management trainings, if we talk about improvement on the knowledge, we use external school. It's usually financed by NEXUS, and it's some type of 3 days, 4 days with specific school, specific trainings for your employees. It can be an award for your employees, but let's not talk about that. Let's talk about a way to getting better. When we talk about the trainings that we are doing with our key suppliers, basically we talk about 1 day, 1 day and a half trainings where we want to focus really on product and OE quality and category management this year, and it will be the case for 2018 and 2019. I just try to accelerate because after I know we have a lot of things to talk. The second pillars, interesting the way we are writing it. Here, let's be very concrete. There is a lot of improvements that the steering committee approved this morning. And again, thanks a lot to you guys, because your team is extremely supporting us. Here, this is an extremely ambitious program that we are proposing you for the next 2 years. First things, I will not remind you on the fact that we have e-learning interactive module available in 33 languages. Please, you know, if you have questions, we will be here to answer you on that. Most important is we strongly want to focus now on training on the workshops. We want to improve the loyalty of the customers, of our customers. And for that, we have no other choice to go on technical training on site, on the ground, and we will do that in 2 ways. The first way is we will collect from all our part distributors a name of being your key technical contact. We want to know who is the technical reference and ambassadors from each of our part distributors. Those ambassadors will be trained 2 times per year on a Train the Trainers program at NEXUS level. We know that it can represent a risk that the knowledge will have to move to our competitors. Let's be very clear on that. It's the limited risk for us because it's a regular training that we will provide to those people. So if one decides to go to your competitors, anyway, a new one will become in place and will be trained actively on a 6-month basis. This will be done in some training centers that we are currently listing and preparing, or it can also be done at the place of some of our suppliers who are part of this program. So it's a regular 6 months, 3 days, 4 days training for your technical ambassadors. The last one is training done to the workshops. Here, Nexus will engage a significant plan of participating and applicable, in more than 15 to 20 countries for the moment, including India, China, Saudi, North of Africa, Latin America. We'll give you this list a little bit later on, where we'll work with the suppliers to determine a training program in each key cities, where we'll ask our members to invite their customers and to train the workshop on technical centers. And that is something where very probably we'll arrive to more than 100 training per year to be delivered. It's a lot of coordination. We'll provide you regular information on that, but that's a commitment that we are taking in 2018 and 2019.
Holger, you're member of the steering committee from the beginning, so you have a big regards on what have been done. What do you expect Nexus to improve when it comes to the Nexus Academy?
First of all, thanks to Thierry. I think he answered all your questions already in his speech and everything he has seen here. So for us as a premium quality supplier, it's very important to have knowledge management. I think here we all agree in this room. It doesn't matter we are suppliers or whether we are distributors or the workshops. So knowledge management is key to success, especially on the premium supplier side, premium quality product side. Let me be a little bit provocative. When I hear that we can buy now water pumps within the next 49 years from approximately 100,000 Chinese suppliers, then it becomes even more important that we discuss and that we train the why premium supplier, why Bosch, for example, and why it's good for you. A, on the product side, on the product quality side. B, on the commercial side, the service side, because the car comes only once into the workshop. And then it might be good to spend a little bit more time on the why we can add a little bit on the premium quality. What I would like to see from you, first of all, thanks to Nexus. It's a unique, and we have the overview on the entire market. It's a unique approach you are running. It's fantastic. You go into the markets, you go into the regions, and that's the right approach. Because also here, language is key, because if you don't speak language, then you can't train. What we need from you, what I feel is, why don't we combine your efforts with efforts in the other markets? Because each and everything we are doing is effort for the distributors, is efforts for the workshops, and efforts for us as the suppliers. So it's a stone we are throwing into the market, and we, and I think Helmut will agree with me, we are doing a lot to train the market around the globe. So what can we do together in standardizing activities? And here I think even about across ITGs. Because your ITG colleagues are also doing and running training academies in a different way. Not as advanced as you do, but each and everyone is requesting something. And what we learned in the industry, especially on the technology side, is whenever we came to standards, we were successful. So if training and knowledge management is key success, then why can't we try to find a certain standard? And here I look at you as the ITG, as the head of the ITG, Nexus, help us on that. I think that's a request.
Okay, the message is taken, huh? Helmut, what kind of initiatives such a big company as ZFTRW can take to support the professional education? Because I know that it's very important for you as well.
Come for that in a moment. First, I have to agree, not because he is Bosch, but he is right with that. And
not because he's German.
Yeah, and German also. No. I think we have some good examples also in some parts of the world where we have a similar training, let's say, concept as what we see also in Germany, where we really train people throughout a certain time that they have the knowledge either in mechanical field or in other fields. And in a lot of countries, this is simply not there. Even in developed countries like, let's say, the US or something like that. And we have been quite successful in some states, also in the US, by basically creating something like that a basic training with having a certificate, what is built in several steps in years on a theoretical side, on a practice side, so that afterwards the people really understand what they are doing. That they not only know they have to dismantle something, put it back, but they really know what is about that. Coming back, why is this, especially also for our company, such an important role? PESCA is very clear, is a huge field. But in PESCA, you have a lot of people what may be trained in OE and then go out and have their own small workshop or something like that. With ZF, only as an example, beside PESCA, we have truck, we have bus, we have off the road, we have railway, we have marine, we have wind power. And meanwhile, PESCA, you have people what might do the training for you. Within all the other fields, you have to do the training upfront by yourself, because if the first product, bus or whatever, is running in a city, the training has to be prepared upfront so that the service is ready in the moment your product is appearing. So therefore, we have a structure, a special unit called service. Just 1,000 people are working within that. We have 120 entities around the globe. We have 650 certified partners doing that knowledge transfer to workshops, to garages and all that you can embed. And our offer is take that also, that we have a network out of that we can use it. And even for some of those things where always the question is, what is with the material, is it standardized and all that? As an example, we have introduced a training box, we call it, that is a ready-made so-called Euro pallet, and is about 1.2 ton. Everything is in the training material, everything is there. It's already ready for shipment, so that in the moment you need it somewhere, all this what you need for tax and all that is done. You can send it somewhere, everything is there, nothing there's no need to prepare something else, and then you can do the training right on the spot. So we have to think different. And the most important thing is we have to make it tailor-made. So there is nothing that one thing fits everyone. So we have to look what is the need of those we want to speak with. And sometimes it's better to have a so-called training nugget, so a small part of a training focused on just one item, so that there is an early success. Because only with an early success out of training, you have the motivation to go on with the training. And some people what have never done so, you have to lead those people really to the point that training is a fun, and with that you can gain something for the future. So sometimes it might even better to start with a small thing, so that you can build afterwards out of that emotions to go further. And use that network, and I can only say so, maybe in some countries where we start from the scratch, we should try to establish something like an aftermarket academy, so that the people understand the difference between a part and the quality part.
So there's a lot to do together. You wanted to add something? No. I would like to turn now to the experience, the needs field table. You come from Zimbabwe, as I said. Could you share with us your experience on how, for this Africa Rising that Gail was referring an hour ago, how does this professional education take a major role to help this continent to grow?
Thank you. Maybe before I answer, I just want to give a little bit of a background on where I come from for the audience to actually understand my response. I come from a country called Zimbabwe. It's in Southern Africa. It's a very small country with a car park of about 1.2 million. The majority of the cars are anything from 10 years old and above. So when you talk in terms of OEM, it's really insignificant at the moment. Kind of people that we are working with on the ground are really informal mechanics more than the formal organizations. So what would really help for us, especially in the region, because that wouldn't be unique only to Zimbabwe, I'm really talking about Southern Africa, maybe with the exception of South Africa, obviously, is to really get down on how we can talk to the informal market. Earlier on, it was mentioned that there is a lot of pirated parts in China You get a lot of that in Southern Africa as well. So people are looking for quality, which is not so expensive. How do you then differentiate the two? And how do you then educate the person who is an informal mechanic, who is working from a workshop that's probably, it's on the street somewhere? How do you educate them to look after the customer? The customer doesn't have enough money to go to a formal workshop. So the business for the informal workshops is really, really booming in Southern Africa. So it's really to try and put up a package. How can we talk to the informal mechanics, educate them on the quality parts, educate them on the need to be using the quality parts?
Do you believe, like, culturally speaking, it's possible to get to those informal mechanics, to help them to increase their level of knowledge? Or do you believe that they want to stay aside the system, if I may call that the system?
I don't think so. I think there is value for everyone in terms of a business perspective to make money. So if they then pass on value to their customers with the knowledge that they would have acquired, they would definitely then make a difference to their own business in a small way. So there is value in actually getting the knowledge down to those informal mechanics.
Those informal mechanics represent how many percent of the market?
I would say we're looking at about 45% of the market.
Almost half?
Almost half. We don't have a manufacturing plant, and again, that's not unique to Southern Africa. It's only South Africa that has manufacturing plants for new vehicles. The rest of the countries, Mozambique, Zambia, Zimbabwe, Malawi, are not manufacturing vehicles. So all these countries do receive a lot of second-hand vehicles.
Gerson, from you're very much involved as well in professional education. What are the stakes in such a big country, which is almost as big as a continent?
Well, we have currently about 100,000 or close to 100,000 different workshops in Brazil, which we know is very difficult to any parts maker to train everybody. We know that is very difficult to do that. Currently, what we are seeing in the field is very few brands go to the market to train people. Training is a very powerful tool to build up brand recognition. And with this second pillar Thierry was mentioning, the technical training together, what our suppliers view about training, maybe we can develop a special program together with our customers to prepare a special training, because in the case of our company and the other 11 members of NEXUS Brazil, we are very focused on premium brands. We are not focused on second brand, let's say, entry-level ones. Mm-hmm. For this reason, it's very important to develop together with our suppliers a special program to train. It's impossible to train 100,000, but maybe a stake of this.
From your extensive experience, would you say that training people increase the growth and the value of your company? Is there a direct link? Did you notice the direct link between training efforts, investments, because it's investments in times and money, okay, and growth in your business?
Instantly. Yeah. Well, we have some experience in some areas that we have developed together with a supplier, a special training, a real training, a very special one, that instantly we can collect orders from that brand, because training is a powerful tool to communicate. Not only technical, but how important is that company, the engineering of that company, and the quality of the parts of that manufacturer is making. You know, because Unfortunately, the mechanics on the field, they don't have time to study a lot about some brand or some other one or another brand. What we know is the mechanics loves to buy OE box. They don't buy because it's too expensive or sometimes they don't find it. If we can explain them, the brand we are selling is OE specification or is the company that sells to the OE, instantly we can feel more sales in that brand. It's instantly. Again, it's a communication program, not only technical program.
Okay. Raghavan, you're very far advanced in terms of professional education, and I've been told that you're going to open in September the first knowledge center in India. What will we find in this center? So it's not an academy that takes place a few times in a year. It's a center. It's a school. What will we find in your school, for whom, and with what objectives?
If I have to sum up our effort in 3 words or sections, one is scalability, second is fungibility, and the third one is mobility. Because India, as you know, as we talked about China, the average life of a vehicle is around 4 to 4.5 years, so therefore it's still a predominantly OE-dominated market. So 5 years back, when we said we want to establish an aftermarket platform, and we did follow the same process, and we had layered of business models. One, we consolidated the traditional distribution, so we cover close to 40,000 retailers. We started our own branded retail as a franchisee model, so our value proposition is to save his working capital, inventory, and profitability, where our relevance to him is 90%, that means to us. The second, we consolidated all the garages. As we have 2 tiers of garages, 30,000 garages we covered in training and orientation. At the same time, we do our own branded garages, close to around 500 of them. So if you look at all these aspects, you have to scale from people perspective, you have to train on alternate parts, and therefore, how do you look at it? Say, I like the sentence from Bosch to say that we moved away from education to both education and knowledge management so that you consistently train them on what alternate parts, what training, repair solutions digitally provided, and how do you drive that. That's to address the scalability part of it. Fungibility, because people are expensive. We recruit close to 400 to 600 people every year. We have around 7,500 technicians and part sales people working. So how do you keep them not to be siloed in a particular brand or vehicle, make them fungible so that you're able to get higher value and also increase the coverage and reach? That's a fungibility so that they get upskilled continuously. The last is mobility. We talked about digitalization last time. It's not about connected car or a mobility or a mobile or a marketplace. It's actually the intersection of these technologies which are driving the innovation. So we actually formed a startup ecosystem, and we started coming out by saying, if I take over a service management of a fleet or a customer, can I predict the next repair before the repair happens? By aggregate, not as a periodicity of a service scheme. So we develop investing on artificial intelligence, telematics, mobile applications, deliver it over a mobile, and integrate that with the parts catalog. So when we looked at all the 3 aspects of it, we said it's important for us to have an ecosystem of suppliers who can actually provide the training infrastructure, knowledge part of it, capture that in the system and disseminate to an ongoing activity. So we actually have 5 classrooms of 40 seats each runs throughout the year. And supplier program, our own program, or a combination of it. And we've invested $1 million actually to create this knowledge management center, which is going live by September. And we are actively collaborating with Theory to have NEXUS Academy as a part of the whole infrastructure. And I do want to take one moment to thank NEXUS and suppliers. If you're here today in 5 years, the aftermarket journey, Gail, Theory, it's out of brief, but I just wanted to highlight, to talk about the scalability. We were a 5 million euro company in 2015. We're closing this year with 115 million. Oh. And next year we are crossing 200 million, which is 10% of India's aftermarket. So the reason for me to say is not about the scale. That's a demand on the training and how many ecosystem platform which we need to create. and why this initiative is very critical for us.
Thank you very much. Thierry, is this example the example to follow for Nexus in the coming years?
I don't know if it's the example to follow, because there's plenty of examples that we should take.
One example.
But for sure, definitely, first of all, I think the name of your training center talk a lot. We're not talking about a training center. You are talking about a knowledge and innovation center. There is place in this center for startup. There is place for different type of trainees. There is technical training. There is knowledge sharings and best practice sharing. And I think that show quite well the ambitions of TVS and Mr. Ragavan, which is linked to how to capitalize on know-how and knowledge, much more than only talking financials. But I think there is a lot of different initiatives that we have seen also in other countries. I was listening carefully to Zimbabwe. We heard about some initiative also in South Africa from some part manufacturers, which can be very interesting and very innovative. I think I do agree with what we said before, saying in most of the time, in some fast-growing market, it can only be successful if we combine effort. And it's, I don't know to which extent we can combine everywhere, but that for sure that by combining effort and experience, it's a better way to transfer the knowledge, and that's what we are looking for. And that's also why we are doing that and trying to establish that in more than 20 countries now. So definitely yes, to answer the question, is it a model to follow? Yes. There's other way, but it's clearly one way we like a lot because it's very innovative.
Would you say that human factor, Holger, is the X factor for growing?
The human factor in that is clearly, that's all about what we are talking about. It's training, it's not about the products, it's about the human being and here we take our products and we take our diagnostics. If I just may, to add on what Thierry said and what you asked me before, also a request to the distributors in this room, and also what I said, please support us in everything what we have heard now also from the other side, in participating intensively in our offers of the trainings, in the offers of Thierry and the suppliers, and go there. There is a lot of activity right now in the market. It's the speed of transformation in our market. You all feel that. So if you went to a place where you think you can save a little bit more money on certain trainings because it's been offered for free or for little money, think twice before you do it, because it will pay back mid and long term if you follow our license to train, or license to sell, or license to maintain. So, and that's why I'm saying we from our side must offer you a certain standard that you are not getting confused, and you please support us. If you agree that knowledge management is key, then please participate actively in all these trainings. Send your people, motivate your workshops.
Thank you very much, Holger. We're at the end of this plenary session, and before I give the last words, of course, to Gail, I would like to thank you, all of you, for attending this plenary session, and remind you that the aperitif will be in this area at 7 p.m. The dinner will be an outside dinner. Don't come with a pullover or a doudoune, okay? Because it's quite warm outside. And I would like to end this plenary to ask Gael to join me and to thank him, because he's a very disruptive person for trusting someone with a broken shoulder to animate this plenary session. The stage is yours.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm very happy that we ended this session with what I told you is probably the challenge that the industry has to take on for the future, the educational challenge. Now, we have been digesting this. You saw the amplitude of initiatives. When you see that we are doing this with beloved manufacturers that work with us, spend time, their teams, that we see that we have, at the end of the day, limited resources, this is raising questions. And with the board of directors, we will work on our corporate responsibility, of course, but also on maybe a more creative way of funding the effort that is at stake. The effort that is at stake in Africa, you described very well that from bringing the informal workshop to the part that we want him to use, there is a tremendous work to be conducted. And even if, as Olga said, there is plenty of trainings available, there is a logistics challenge that we will have to work on. So we have discussed it this morning on the board, and we know that at the end of the day, it can be a foundation, it can be anything else, but we will put the focus that is required to make it happen, as I told you at the beginning, in the fast-growing markets that will help all of you selling your parts at the double-digit growth that we are ambitioning. Now, from the discussions we had this afternoon, I will recall one number. I think Thierry said we are tracking a number that is a number amounting to 200 million euro. And that will be for us, I'm sorry to be a bit financial in my views, but that will be for us really a number that the entire organization is going to follow on a monthly basis. And I insist what I told you, we need you as well. We need your progressive attitudes. We need you to take some risks, suppliers that we have with us on this boat. We need you to adopt sometimes the attitude that is required to go and get the double-digit growth. Because we have an obligation now in front of you, is that the 6.5% that you saw at the beginning of this plenary session will have to be double-digit at the end of the year, one way or the other. One way or the other. So based on that, I'd like as well to take a few seconds and thank all the ones that have been working enormously on making it happen to have all of you here. First, the suppliers, the partners that are in our daily life, the ones with whom we operate. And I thank you very, very warmly for your presence here. We will work a lot tomorrow and the day after to build the foundation of this double-digit growth for 2018. So thank you very much for your presence. I'd like to thank as well all the organization, from Emmanuel, Bas, to the entire team that has been working on organizing this session. And as Emmanuel told you, it's going on later today. So thank you very much for the professionalism of the session. And of course, you know, you don't bring an organization from zero to where we are today without a fantastic team. I'd like, maybe if you can have a round of applause for the NEXUS team, because they deserve it. Now, last but not least, I'd like as well to thank all those distributors around the world that have this progressive mindset, that know that there is one priority, and that's you in the room. That's the double-digit growth that we are focusing on. All of them are accepting that we are moving into a system that will monitor much more closely, that will track, that will incentivize the double-digit growth. And all those members are fantastic people that I thank very warmly to have joined this plenary this afternoon. Thank you very much.
Et ben voilà.